By God's grace, the Filipino Christians have continued to receive faith won by the sources of hope in facing poverty, economic inequality, political upheavals, typhoons, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and even current pandemic. He added that as we confess our failure in living the faith in a consistent manner, we also recognize the great contribution of Christian faith in shaping the Filipino culture and the Filipino nation. I like talking about why these are conservative values and why we should uphold it, and why do we value us being our Filipinos and us being our Filipino identity without us being victims. Hey yo, what's up you guys? So I'm coming here with another video, and we are talking about 500 years of Christianity arriving to the Philippines. Let's get into it. But first up, of course, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch, hey Mitch, all the Mitches, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So current events, reviews, and pop culture within the scope of entertainment, culture, and purpose. So TV, movie reviews, social, political commentary. Be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. Alright, so getting into it, I'm wearing my Filipino colors, my Filipino lei, as well as my Jesus I Trust in You, Inte Confido y Jesus, right? And so today, if you didn't know, marks the 500th anniversary of Christianity entering the Philippines. And even though this channel is not like apologetics, I do want to touch upon that because it kind of goes into what I want to talk about as far as why am I okay with Western civilization entering the Philippines. And so, yeah. So in my other videos, I talked about like Filipino walking away, Filipino exit, as well as why should Filipinos should lead the Democratic Party. I have done these other videos as well as my recent videos talking about Filipinx and woke Filipinos. I kind of want to touch upon this because I've been meaning to do a video on this, because one aspect of woke Filipinos and an ideology coming from the left, and again wokeism and everything, SJWs, is that Western civilization has been always viewed as a negative. Colonization has viewed as a negative, right? And so when it comes to Filipino Americans, a lot of them have a hard time figuring out why is this okay or not okay. And obviously the more extreme is like, you know, talking against your internal racism and this fighting against colonial mindset and everything. And so I want to give the argument, why am I so kosher, essentially? Why am I so kosher about being like Western civilization and my Filipino mindset? So again, I'm talking on the fly here, so I didn't really make an essay, which I really should, but I'm just gonna go off the kind of topics that I just brainstormed. So one, I kind of goes off the preface that our experience, we are not the products of our mistakes, right? We are some of our experiences. And for many of the left, they just see the colonialization part as the negative. And sure, I'm not advocating for colonialism and everything. And there was bad things that happened to that. For the Philippines to be a Spanish territory and later to be occupied by the Japanese during World War II, and then being a U.S. territory before that. And yes, there was propaganda about having the Philippines as viewed as negatives and savages and all this stuff. And yes, we should talk about that. We should talk about that and highlight that, but I'm not gonna look at this whole history. I'm gonna view history as history, right? I'm not gonna view history in the lens of like what is good and bad and everything. Like, yeah, we can obviously have those past judgments, but again, going back to what I was originally saying, I view this as the Filipino experience with the whole as a sum of it, right? I'm not just gonna view the whole negative, which the left, academia, wokeness, SJWs would have done, right? Also, on that point, as far as viewing the past, how it is, for centuries and centuries and centuries, nations has been conquering each other nations. Everyone was playing the Game of Thrones, right? Up until World War II, when everyone said the Geneva Conventions, like everyone, whatever country you have, it's kind of like done. But like what I'm trying to say is a lot of the woke identity, a lot of the, especially American wokeism, likes to pinpoint Western civilization as the worst evil, right? But they don't talk about the colonization of the Islamic Caliphate going into Northern Africa. We don't talk about Genghis Khan, like imperializing and taking over all of Asia. Well, not all, but most of Asia into the Baltic Sea. You know, we don't talk about like the Persian Empire. We don't talk about like Japan colonizing and infiltrating China, Korea, Philippines, and all that stuff. And so it's always pinpointed to make like Western civilization as bad. So I think that's another point to look into, that we can't just like, we had like in the past, in the time of Ferdinand Magellan, again there was kingdoms and empires that was expanding, and you can't just necessarily blame those people at that time, right? Again, there was portions in which, yes, that things have done, there was bad things that did happen, but I'm gonna elaborate on more of the good things. So one thing that I have said in other videos, and again I'm gonna just say it again here, is that the Philippines was never a centralized government. Over the thousands of islands, you know, it was always this tribe and this provincial, this island, this group, sultanate, and everything against each other. There was never a centralized government. And I always say this again, like in the movie Hero with Jet Li, he understood that in the warring era of China, they needed a one nation. And you know, when it came to the Philippines, there was no one nation up until the Spanish came, right? The Philippines is named after King Philip, right? And so it was the Filipinas, right? And by doing so, we had an identity, being Filipinos. Sure, we can go into that the Filipinos was talking about the actual Spanish people, and then later adopted the native quote-unquote Filipinos as the Filipinos. But the point is that there was no central identity when it comes to the Filipinos until the Spanish came. And then lastly, I'm gonna lean on faith, right? Find it interesting, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not, but when the introduction of the Spanish into the Philippines, the Christianity into the Philippines is on 3:16, which is John 3:16, right? So again, John 3:16, for God so loved the world he gave his only begotten son, who believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. And I think it's kind of cool that, you know, one aspect of Catholicism, especially in the Philippines, was to venerate the Santo Niño, the sweet baby Jesus, right? And so I think it's very appropriate that, you know, 3:16 marks the date that Christianity was introduced into the Philippines. And so also with that, like, investment in faith is not just spiritual, it is intellectual, right? And so, because a lot of people are saying like, you're dumb for having a religion with all this stuff, but like, there is an intellectual portion of that. But the point is, I don't subscribe to moral relativism, I subscribe to moral absolutism. Like, there is objective truth and there is something. So I come from the premise that there is truth in religion, there is truth in Christianity, in Catholicism, right? And therefore, all the other religions is not, like, this sounds bad, but like, it is. I mean, if Catholicism, Christianity is the way, the life, the truth, if Jesus is the way, the life, the truth, then everything else is not, right? You have to kind of go to that conclusion because that's how you win. So the point being, and I guess I'm doing this pretty bad, is that I come from the premise that Christianity is an ultimate good, because I see that there, like other religions like Buddhism and Hinduism, has this idea of karma and dharma and, you know, suffering, but they don't have the answer through suffering. It is elimination through what is suffering. But Christianity has a solution, which is Jesus and which is God, that God is your salvation. And so again, this is not hella apologetics, but the point is, it's easy for someone who is not Christian or have any faith-based values to write me off as you're dumb, or you're just buying into this, or you are I wouldn't say in a cult, but like you are so brainwashed maybe, like into this faith religion, that you're not looking at the objective truth. But like, if you look into miracles, if you look into not just like actual miracles, not just like, hey, I heard of this, but like like the miracle of Fatima, right? In which there was a number of people who witnessed a miracle. Like, this isn't just miracles that happened 2,000 years ago. These are miracles that are happening now, as well as the Eucharistic miracles. And so again, I don't want to go too heavy in apologetics, but the point is I come from this idea in which Christianity is an overall good. Has Christianity done bad things? Has the Catholic Church done bad things, covering up sexual abuses and everything? Of course, but those are the flawed aspects of religion. But in divinity in itself, religion as in God is truly good. And so there's like a different aspects in all of this. And so where do I want to lead off to? So wrapping it up, going into what I originally came up with for this topic is why am I okay with Christianity coming to the Philippines, and why am I so kosher with Western civilization is, again, when it comes to the Philippines as a Southeast Asian country, being a Catholic nation, a Christian nation, gave us such a different and unique identity, because a lot of Filipinos have Spanish last names. We have such a unique perspective, and it allowed us to assimilate into American culture a lot more easier, as well as us being a U.S. territory. But I mean, we were able to, I feel like Filipino Americans stand different when it comes to other, especially East Asians or anything else, that we don't seem as foreign to the other ones, because we have such, we have Western influences already in our country. So why is that okay to me? It's because, again, when it came to the Philippines and colonization and the age of exploration and everything, again, we can say that there's portions of colonization bad, but I would really suspect that if it wasn't for the Spanish, it would have been the Dutch, the French, the English. It would have been something else that would have colonized the Philippines. Because again, the French was introducing themselves in Vietnam, and Dutch going to Indonesia and all this stuff, and obviously the English in Hong Kong and everything. And so my aspect and my viewpoint is, at some point, without no centralized government of the Philippines within our number of, islands, I think another European power or another power in general would have taken over. And to that point, we had Islam influences already in the South, and it could have been especially blown out. And so I'm not gonna go there because I have views on that too. But I'm just gonna leave it there that I personally thank God that the Philippines is a Christian nation, and we have those Christian values to uphold us, not just as any note. I'm just going to quote from Cardinal Tagle, who told the Pope during this whole celebration and everything. So he says, "By God's grace, the Filipino Christians have continued to receive faith won by the sources of hope in facing poverty, economic inequality, political upheavals, typhoons, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and even current pandemic." He added that as we confess our failure in living the faith in a consistent manner, we also recognize the great contribution of Christian faith in shaping the Filipino culture and the Filipino nation. And I think that sums up this video quite well. So again, a different kind of video, but I kind of want to put that because, again, I like talking about the woke identity. I like talking about why these are conservative values and why we should uphold it, and why do we value us being our Filipinos and us being our Filipino identity without us being victims, right? And so thank you again for watching. You can follow me in my Instagram at HeyMitchMitch. You can follow me in my joint Instagram at IntoMandatoryFun, where I do other videos for my friend Jen. I'm also on Parler, Mitch, and see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you. E come espirito tuo.